Well, Hurricanes fans, if you can believe it, they have done it again. We have squandered a beautiful opportunity. The season's over, I'm telling y'all right now. When it comes to the ACC championship, we're done. When it comes to the playoffs, they were begging for an opportunity to not to put us in there. So we're absolutely done now. There is really nothing else to play for, just being honest with y'all. And I am typically the opposite of pessimistic. I'm typically optimistic like crazy. The season's over. There's nothing else to play for. So, as disappointing as this, I'm telling you, this might be that game when we lost to Syracuse, that hurt a lot. This one hurts even worse, mainly because I didn't care one way or another when it came to Syracuse. I have wanted to be SMU because of their coach and how he continues to poach players from the Hurricanes. I've wanted to beat them for 2 years now. The game finally gets here and we just blow it. Just blow it. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about coaching, coaching, coaching. What is the coach doing? Why didn't he take the points? Like all of this stuff. But I'm telling y'all right now, the coaches were not the problem here. I understand the saying where they say you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. I understand that. But I'm telling y'all right now, I'm sitting on my couch watching this game from the comforts of my home, clear mind with no pressure on me. So I'm able to have, 2020 hindsight on everything. Every call, every decision that they made, I actually agree with it. I'm like, yeah, I would go for it here. Yeah, I would call that play. We've consistently complained about them not running the ball outside. They ran the ball outside this game. We continuously complain about not showing um, misdirections on plays. We continuously ran misdirection plays today. The offense was moving just fine. The 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 coaches came into this game with a wonderful game plan. If you ask me, I thought our defensive coach, I thought he called a good game. He blitzed in certain opportunities when I wouldn't have, and it ended up working. So I was like he's calling a good game. I thought our offensive coordinator, OC Dimples, I thought he called a good game. The problem this game, the players actually let the coaches down. This is the first time I've ever said that. The players let the coaches down. They made the dumbest plays when they just couldn't have done it. They had drop passes when they just could not drop those passes. You got drop passes that turn into interceptions. That's a easy catch that you should make, ends up being tipped interception. Cannot have it. You get stopped on a 4th and 1 against SMU. Cannot have it. That's not coaching. Missing a pass that gets turned to an interception, that's not coaching. Missing open holes as a running back, it happened multiple times by different running backs. It actually happened twice in overtime where Marty Brown ran the wrong way. Had he run the right way on his last carry, it would have been a touchdown. As the commentator said, it would have been a walk-in. Wide open, big hole. He runs to the right instead of going to the left. That's not coaching. Penalties. I know y'all gonna say, well, that's a coaching thing. How many times do we have to say, how many times do I have to say, it feels like every time we do a hurry up offense, anytime we do a little bit of tempo, we jump offsides, false start. How many times have I said that? I said every time we do a little tempo, I'm like, please don't jump. Please don't be offsides. Please don't make this false start. And it happened again today. We ended up turning a 3rd and 8, I believe, or a 2nd and 8 or something into 3rd and 33. It's not coaching. Like these things are all being done on the field. Getting stopped on a 4th and 1 to SMU when you have one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the country. And I know some of y'all gonna say, well, you shouldn't have ran up the middle. 4th and 1, you should get under the center as they did and run it right up the middle, and your line should be able to push them at least 1 yard forward. And they did not get it done. The players are to blame this game. I don't want to hear anything about what the coaches didn't do right. I don't want to hear about what they should have called and what they didn't call. The coaches had a good game plan. The coaches seemed to have had them ready for the game, and the players blew it. One play, they hand the ball off to Mark Fletcher, who I thought played a pretty good game, honestly. They hand the ball off to Mark Fletcher. He totally runs the wrong direction. He's running to the right side of the field. A blocker comes in. All he has to do is cut it back, and he probably would have ran for about 40 yards for a touchdown. But he continued going to the sideline and got tackled. Like, That's not coaching. The coaches implement a game plan. They call plays, and the players are to execute those things. And they just did not do that today. I thought the defense played well. Keontae Scott jumped off the screen again. He is balling out. I think he's making a bunch of money this year. Because I don't know who's going to take a chance on him, but if they put him in like a Tyrann Mathieu situation in the NFL, he'll thrive in the NFL just because he's got ball skills. He's not scared to put his nose in between the offensive and the defensive line. Not afraid to do that. So as y'all know, typically what I do is I just go through some of the plays that I've had highlighted throughout the game. This game is so disappointing, man. I'm going to do what I typically do. I'm going to go through and read all of these things that I thought about. The first thing that I wrote out was opened it up, pass, and outside run. So the first couple of possessions, I'm like, okay, it looks like O.C. Dimples finally opened up the offense today. He had Carson Beck. I know a lot of y'all going to kill Carson Beck because he had 2 interceptions and he threw an interception in overtime. Honestly, I thought Carson Beck played very well today. Very well. And unfortunately, I thought the players around him let him down. And that's part of why he was so boisterous today with his hands, and he's frustrated, which I think he does need to clean up his body language. It's not a good look to be doing all that if you're the leader of the team. But I could 100%, excuse me, I could 100% understand his frustrations, 100%. He scrambles all over the place, finds somebody down the field, end up getting a first down like a 3rd and 15. And then what happens? Illegal man down the field. Like, what are you doing? Come on, man. What are you doing? Why are you 6 or 7? Why are you blocking somebody 6 or 7 yards down the field? What are we doing? Like, that kind of thing happened all game. I thought Carson Beck played very well. It's just, we'd have 3rd and 4, and before you know it, it's 3rd and 19. It's 3rd and 8, and before you know it, 3rd and 13. And then another flag, 3rd and 18. Like, how can you beat those odds, man? And I know a lot of y'all say, well, that's what was going on at Georgia, and you said that would. He played well today, and the people around him let him down. I'm telling you. Some of y'all going to say, well, he shouldn't have thrown that interception overtime. I agree with you. I agree. He should have thrown the ball a little sooner to Malachi Tony. It would have been a touchdown. But up to that point, I thought he played very well. Very well. What's the next thing I got on here? The next thing is Fletcher run outside. Like, my eyes were popping at the fact that we had actually drawn up plays to run outside the tackles. Not just outside the guards, but outside the tackles. That was impressive to see. Another thing that I've highlighted is Fletcher is doing an excellent job of holding on to the ball this year compared to what he did last year. And the year before that. He always concerned me because he would be running between the tackles or between the guards, and he'd be holding the ball with one hand. Way out, too, just feeling cool like he's holding a loaf of bread. And people would sometimes just strip him from the ball. Today, he ran really well. Last week, he ran really well inside the tackles, putting 2 hands on it, protecting the ball. There was one play in the first quarter, I think, where you see a defensive player from SMU just come and just like try to rip the ball out, and he couldn't get the ball out. And I thought if that was Fletcher last year, that would have been a fumble. So kudos to him for doing that. And then false start on tempo. So we got, I think we got 8 yards on the first down in the first quarter. So it would have been 2nd and 2. We rush to the line, do a little bit of tempo, false start. I'm like, and I'm telling y'all, I don't believe in curses, but it seems like I almost cursed the team because every time they do a little bit of tempo, I'll be like, please don't do any false start, please. And then, boop, false start. It's like, come on, y'all. So that was frustrating. 3rd and 1 under. So I complained last week and the week before. I was like, can we not just get under the center and run the ball, whether a quarterback sneak or just run it straight ahead on a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1? Can we get under the center and do that for once? Because I was tired of seeing them do that from the shotgun. But they actually did that. And they got the first down, which was a beautiful thing to see. And then JoJo Trader's touchdown. And I have "get off of me" in all caps. It reminded me of what he did in the bowl game last season when he caught the ball and then carried a player into the end zone with him. So I was really glad to see JoJo Trader back on the field. He did have a crucial interception, or he was the reason for a crucial interception, dropping that pass, which was terrible and tough to take. But yeah, I thought he played pretty well, but that drop, it just overshadowed the entire game. It really did. Um, the next thing I have on here is kickoff. And I always say, and y'all probably are laughing because I say this so often, kick the ball out of the back of the end zone. The odds of you having a good play as the kickoff team are minuscule compared to the odds of the team returning the ball having a big momentum shifting play. That's why I say if I was playing the kick, if I was the special teams coach, my returning team would hardly ever even play football. We would kick it out the back of the end zone every time. And don't tell me that he couldn't reach the back of the end zone, because he did it multiple times that game. Kick it out the back of the end zone. They ended up getting a big, huge return all the way to like the 40-something, which obviously gave them a little bit of momentum, made them feel pretty good about that. But again, kick the ball out of the back of the end zone. You hardly ever see somebody fumble the ball or get tackled on their 5-yard line or something crazy like that on a kickoff. But you do see big returns happen quite often. Sometimes they go for a touchdown. So the odds, like, you just got to play the odds when you ask me, man. And, like, kick the ball at the back of the end zone. Don't play special teams in that situation. So I said third and out, field position. So after we did that kickoff, they got the ball all the way to like the 40-something yard line on that kickoff return. And then they had a 3 and out. And then when they punted the ball to us, we had the ball way back on like the 10-yard line. Had they not kicked the ball like they did, or had they not kicked the ball inbounds and he didn't have that big return, by the time they had that 3 and out and punted the ball to us, we would have had excellent field position at like the 50 or 55 yard, the 50 or the 45-yard line. But instead, we're way back at the 10 or the 20 because we gave up all that field position on the kickoff. Again, don't do the kickoffs, man. Just kick it out of bounds, out the back of the end zone. Next thing, false start and snap infraction. Y'all, I've never seen I'm 38 years old. I've been watching football since I was like 6 or 7 years old. I had never seen a snap infraction before this year. And I've seen like 3 or 4 of them with our team. Like, what is happening with that? Outside of that snap infraction, I do think that Brockermeyer played pretty well. He got blown up once, maybe twice in this game. But, my Lord, he got to figure out these snaps, man. The next thing I have on here is, like, I was shocked to see us do an outside zone run with Jordan Lyle. We just haven't seen that. When the entire offensive line starts here and they all just travel down the line with the running back, and the running back is able to drift with them and then pick a hole and run up the field. I hadn't seen us move the entire offensive line like that. We haven't done zone runs, especially outside. So it was cool to see them doing that this game. It's obvious that the fans and the media, like, our voices are being heard because we've complained about us not running outside, and they actually did that stuff this game. And it was working. It's just dumb penalty here, incredibly idiotic penalty there, drop pass there. It was just like, y'all are killing yourselves. And then second quarter, I have 3rd and 33 with about 10 question marks. 3rd and 33, we were in field goal range, looking like we were about to walk in for a touchdown. And before you know it, we're having to punt on a 4th and, like, what's going on with that? I'm telling you, it's not a coaching problem. That's just a player tricking it off problem. SMU, 3rd and 8 drop. That was huge. They had a 3rd and 8 in the second quarter, and he was wide open. I don't know how he was so wide open, but they threw it to him, and he just dropped it. SMU, and I thought that would be a huge play, but it ended up not being such a huge play because JoJo Trader ended up dropping the next pass, and it ended up turning into an interception. And then the next thing I typed out was, this team is not helping the quarterback. I thought Carson Beck started off playing really well, and I thought he ended up playing pretty well up until that last pass in overtime. I just thought that his team just did not help him. The offensive line protected him really well, but these penalties, it's just untimely, I think is the best word for it. it seems like every chance that they got to ruin it, they took that chance. It was crazy. Like the Lightfoot thing. Like, come on, cuz. Would I have called that? No. If I was on SMU's, if I was an SMU fan and I saw that flag, would I be cheering? Yes, but I would also be like, that they shouldn't have thrown that flag. If I'm just looking at it from an objective standpoint, which is kind of tough because I am biased, I'm a fan, obviously. But if I'm looking at that from an unbiased standpoint, I've got to believe that that was just not they should not have thrown that flag. But anyway, let's stay in order. SMU touchdown. The first thing that I have on this SMU touchdown that they had was, I don't know what our safeties were looking at. I don't know what Jacoby Thomas was looking like. I don't know what he was looking at. He has a receiver on the right side of him streaking down the field towards the end zone. And then there's nobody on the left that's gone deep. Nobody really even beyond the linebacker's depth. So I don't know why Jacoby Thomas was drifting to the left so heavily. And I just saw this score appear. I'm telling y'all, I truly believed, I didn't want to say it on here, but I truly believed that if we won out, things would play out in a way where we would end up getting into the ACC championship. I figure Louisville would end up losing a game, which right now they're losing 16-7 to Virginia Tech. I believe Virginia is going to lose 2 of their next games, which would have us jump both of those. We would have been over SMU because we would have beat SMU. Duke, I figured they would end up losing eventually. I just felt like it was going to play out for us to win and for us to get into the ACC championship. And then I think Georgia Tech is probably going to end up losing tonight too. But man, I'm telling you, it feels like, I don't believe in curses, y'all, but it's like, what the hell, bro? It's like every chance they get to blow it, they blow it one way or another. Sometimes the coaches are at fault, and this time the players just blew it. Another thing that comes to mind, the punt. We punt the ball, and we punt the ball, and we should easily down it at like the 3-yard line. Easily. And I know y'all going to try to blame this on the coach, but tell me, how is this the coach's fault where the ball bounces at like the 20-yard line, and it's just tumbling down towards the goal line? And we have one of our players, I forgot who it was, who out of control sprints towards the ball and knocks the ball into the end zone. What is that? What is that? As unathletic as I am, I wasn't able to play college ball. I played high school basketball, and that was it. As unathletic as I am, I would have been able to down that ball. I don't understand what he was doing. It was 2 players there, and the ball was just dripping down towards the goal line. Looked like we could have probably downed it within the 5-yard line easily. And somehow we blew that. It's like, that's not coaching. That's just the players tricking it off. They tricked this whole game off. Just left and right. They tricked it off all over the place. Yeah, so Jacoby Thomas, I don't know what he was looking at. He had a receiver on the right side, no receivers on the left. He left the receiver on the right and just kept drifting to the left to guard nobody. And that receiver was wide open for a touchdown. The next thing I had was the punt into the end zone. I have Carson Beck's body language is horrible. I typed that out on here. I could understand his frustrations. I think there were a few times where he was trying to hurry up the center to get the ball. Hurry, snap it. He wouldn't let go of it. He just wouldn't snap it. So then they would call timeout. I saw that kind of thing happen at least twice. So I could understand his frustration, but bro, you got to chill. Like, you can't be doing all that. Getting people riled up like that is not the way you win football games. Big punt return. So this is towards the end of the first half. Again, we're just looking kind of pedestrian on offense. We had 7 points up to that point. We had maybe 40 seconds left. the weird time management thing going on because we didn't have timeouts left. SMU ended up punting the ball to us. Malachi Tony did Malachi Tony things. But I'm going to tell you, when he did not get in the end zone, I was like, oh, shucks, here we go. Like, I'm thinking, like, sometimes you're watching a football game and weird stuff comes out of your mouth. So I'm yelling for some reason. I don't know why I'm yelling this, but I'm screaming, take it to the house, take it to the house. I haven't said that since like 98 maybe. But I'm screaming, take it to the house as Malachi Tony is running down the sideline. And I'm like, please get in the end zone. And then he gets stopped. Okay, we got maybe 40 seconds left. We got no timeouts. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I did not feel confident about us punching that ball in for a touchdown. If we had timeouts, I would have said, okay, we're probably going to be able to walk this in there with a couple of runs, maybe a throw here and there. But without having those timeouts, I did not think we had time to run the ball, uncover the pile, get back on the ball. So I was like, I don't feel too confident with us getting this touchdown. And what happens? We throw the ball in the end zone. Our receiver has both hands on it, gets hit, and drops the ball. Elijah Lofton, once again, players tricking it off. Players not helping the quarterback. That happened all game. Is that coaching? Is that a coaching problem? The fact that his player dropped the football in the end zone? And that difference, we ended up getting 3. That cost us 4 points. That wins the game. Let's just go to the fourth quarter. Deep pass for first down. Ends up being an ineligible man downfield. And then we end up getting a false start on top of that. Somehow, Carson Beck ended up finding Marion for a first down. I'm telling you, Carson Beck played a pretty good game. He didn't look scared most of the time. He looked scared on that last play, the interception. He looked very scared. But most of the game, he did not look scared. He looked like he was ready. He knew where his reads were. He took the check down when he needed to. He ended up being 26 of 38 for 274, which is not a bad game. But then he had those 2 interceptions. One of them was a tip pass. The other was a late throw to Malachi Tony, in which Malachi should not have drifted up the field. But he did, and that gave the corner an inside release on it, and that's how he ended up getting an interception. 3rd and 8 with 2 minutes left. Do we pass it or do we run it? Do we go for a first down? Do we just run the ball, make sure that they spend a timeout? What do we do? I figured 3rd and 8, we should look to pass the ball to get a first down. I didn't want to just hand the ball off and then just punt the ball away or whatever. I wanted to actually see if we can get that conversion to end the game. That's what I'm thinking. And it's crazy. Like, I don't know what our win percentages were at certain points of the game, but there were plenty of parts of the game. If it wasn't Miami, I would be like, oh yeah, this game's a wrap. And we ended up losing. It was plenty of times. And that was one of those times. It's 3rd and 8. We got the ball. If we convert this, game's a wrap. They're out of timeouts. Kneel the ball a couple times. We walk away with W. So yeah, we ended up throwing the ball. I'm telling you, my dad was a basketball coach. He taught us never to blame the referees. But y'all, this is getting kind of crazy, man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. There's certain things that we do where it's just like, yeah, that's our fault. Like, false start, duh, you have to call a false start. But when it comes to stuff like pass interferences and that kind of judgment call, like, we just don't get the nods on those, man. It's crazy to me. We just don't get the nods on those. We were 12 penalties for 96 yards compared to them having 4 penalties for 40. We had twice the amount of penalty. We had 3 times the amount of penalties, but twice the amount of penalty yardage. What's happening with that, man? Like, SMU rushed for 23 yards to our 159, and they ended up winning. we beat them in so many aspects of this game. Somehow Jennings had 365 yards, which is crazy work, even with a bad ankle. But as we knew, like teams like this, they're gonna get up to play the Hurricanes, and unfortunately, the Hurricanes did not respond. It's unfortunate. Um, that that fourth down pass, I don't care what anybody tells me. That should have been a pass interference. I'm telling you. And I know the commentator was saying, oh, well, they were kind of hand fighting there. But then the other guy, the rules guy, comes on, or the referee guy, I don't know what you want to call him. He's like, no, that should have been a flag. That should have been defensive pass interference. If not defensive pass interference, defensive holding. You got to call something on that. Way too much contact, and the ball wasn't uncatchable either. So that should have been a pass interference, and that should have basically ended the game. Unfortunately, as they do, they didn't call it. I could not believe it. They didn't call it, and we ended up having to give the ball back. Um, at the end of the game, ask yourself, do you well, no, let's talk about this. The personal foul on fourth down was crazy, y'all. I think that would have set up 4th and 9. We ended up calling a timeout before the play started. I'm watching the game. I didn't know if they blew the whistle either. Lightfoot goes, grabs their quarterback, Kevin Jennings, and they call a flag, 15 yards, it gives them a first down. That's when I just lost it. I was like, yo, these fools are cheating for real. I don't know what else to call that. That was crazy work to me. First, you don't call what I consider to be a blatant pass interference. Then you give them a first down when they would have been facing like a 4th and 9 or something, 4th and 8 or something like that. You can't give them a first down on that, especially on something where a player runs to a quarterback and grabs him. He didn't even throw him to the ground, and he didn't land on him, none of that. He just grabbed him, and they called a flag for that. So we'll see if the committee puts out something tomorrow. The referee committee, ACC, said that they blew that call or something. See, I don't know. Anyway, man. And then you got to ask yourself at the end of the game, do you kneel the ball, or do you see if you can use these last, I think, 25 seconds to get, the last 25 seconds to get a touchdown or a field goal or something? And my thought was, let's go ahead and just kneel the ball, because I felt very confident with us going into overtime. I felt like the Hurricanes inside the 25-yard line, we just going to run the ball down their throat. Like, we just going to run it, and get a touchdown. And I didn't see SMU being able to consistently move the ball against the Hurricanes like that within the 25-yard line. Once we got to like the 8, somewhere in there, I got a little bit concerned. Then we handed the ball off to Marty Brown. He missed his read, wide open touchdown to the left. You just did not see it. And once we got into a throwing situation inside the 10-yard line, I'm like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. I'm just, even though I thought Carson Beck was playing well, I'm never confident with him throwing the ball within the 10-yard line. It's just too crowded. There's defensive players everywhere because they don't have to worry about 15, 20, 80 yards down the field. So there's so many defensive players everywhere, and I don't trust his judgment most of the time, so I don't really like throwing the ball inside the 10. But ended up throwing interception, and the defense seemed like they just gave it up. Like, yeah, man, all they need is a field goal to win, and they let them run it right down their throat for a touchdown to win the game. Y'all, this game sucks so bad. It is so bad. And I know there's some SMU fans watching this and they're loving it, but they suck too. They got 3 losses. They're 4-1 in the ACC. They're not gonna win anything this year either. Like, they did beat us. Congratulations for that. Can't hate them on that. They did beat us fair and square. And the thing about SMU, the reason why I respect it, they didn't do any kind of gimmicky stuff. They don't do the gimmicks that Florida State was trying to do this year. They don't do the gimmicks that Syracuse relied on last year. They don't do the gimmicks that Vanderbilt's relying on this year. They just line up and play football, and they beat us straight up. So I hate it. I hate the fact that SMU basically ended our season. I hate that I've waited for this game for a couple of years and then we end up losing it, especially to a team that was incredibly inferior to our Hurricanes. Incredibly inferior. They had injuries all over the place. Their running game was not working. Their quarterback left the game because he re-injured an ankle. He comes back in, continues to slice and dice. Our defensive line did not get the push that I expected this game. I thought that we'd have, um, I thought that we'd just be living in the backfield. If it wasn't Ruben Bain, I thought Armando Blunt would be getting in the backfield. I thought Akeem Mesidor would be living in the backfield. They just didn't. I thought they would have their quarterback so off kilter that he would just be throwing interceptions and making mistakes, especially because he couldn't move like he typically moves. So it's crazy, man. The ACC is nuts. And I hate to be this guy, but I really don't know what else there is to play for except pride. ACC, like, I don't care about bowl games. Players don't care about bowl games anymore. I think we'll probably end up losing one more game. I think we'll end up losing the Pitt. Um, I think we're going to beat Syracuse by quite a bit. Um, it looked like we had a really good opportunity to stack some wins to get our confidence level back. We talked last time about how the Hurricanes, when they lose a game, they just fade away and just look terrible the rest of the season. So we had an opportunity to lose. We lost to Louisville. It's like, okay, let's get back, beat Stanford, get a W against SMU, and then we go kill Syracuse. Those 3 wins in a row could have carried us into a really important NC State game. That's what I was thinking we were going to do. But now we have dropped all the way. Like, we have 2 losses. We need Georgia Tech to lose twice, and I'm telling you, they're not going to do that. We need Virginia to lose 3 times. We need Pitt to lose, and then we beat them. We need Duke to lose twice more. Like, it's just too much that we need at this point. Yeah, it's just too much. So the season, it's over. I can't believe it. I'm going to always look back at this year and feel like this was the wasted season. I kind of felt like that last year, but our defense was so bad. It was like, if we get into the playoffs, it's not going to be good for us. Like, we're going to get smacked by whomever we play against because we can't stop anybody. But this year, I thought our defense was championship level when it needed to be. I thought our offensive line was championship level when it needed to be. I thought we had some offensive weapons who were championship level when they needed to be. Just didn't put it together. And found ways to lose when we could not do that. Found ways to make mistakes when we just could not afford to. We are a mess. It's a sad shame. That's how I'm about to get on off here because I don't have anything else, but it is a completely wasted season, man. My dreams and hopes this year, I'm going to tell y'all from the beginning what I was hoping for. I was hoping that we could beat Notre Dame because I hate Notre Dame so much. I wanted to go and beat Florida State because I hate Florida State so much. I wanted to beat SMU because I've been waiting on this game for so long. That didn't happen. Then I wanted to be able to play Georgia Tech in the championship game to get our get back with them for the last couple of seasons, just before their quarterback leaves. That would have been just pure bliss. Unfortunately, the majority of that stuff did not happen. It's crazy. Well, we're 6-2. I think we'll end up beating Syracuse. We'll beat NC State. We'll beat Virginia Tech, and then we'll probably lose to Pitt. But y'all, this could very well end up being an 8-4 season. This could very well end up being a 7-5 season if we're not very careful. At this point, I'm gonna start thinking about next year, wondering what we're gonna do with the quarterback position because I don't know what to expect. There's been rumors about potentially the NC State quarterback coming and playing for the Hurricanes next year. I don't think our quarterback for next year is on our roster right now, but we shall see. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, man. It's crazy. Anyway, take care. God bless. Peace.